We spent a lot of time in the last two videos making sure that we had the page set up for the login page, and I was explaining the procedures that you will use inside WPF XAML to give you the controls that you need on the forms that you're going to use. Now, we're taking this very slow approach in that video just to give you a chance to understand that, and I'm going to do it slightly differently in this video, and hopefully it'll be an acceptable way of explaining how the next page that we're going to create, which is the one you see now, is going to be developed with the code that we use. So the first thing I want to do is just to introduce the page to you. You can see it here on the left hand side of the screen, which is called Loan Details. So that's the title that it's got in the GUI, and the name of the page itself is Page Loan. Now the structure of this page is different to the one that we had in the last page, where we had a simple 2-column structure, whereas here we've now got a 6-column structure. The number of rows is just the number of rows, it's what you need. And what I'm hoping to explain to you in this is that if you need to have a slightly varied interface in terms of the shape of things, then you have to consider the number of columns that you're going to use. This is very similar to a lot of schemes that are used in web development these days, particularly with frameworks like scaffolding frameworks like Bootstrap, where it is column based, and the Flex Grid is column based and so forth. That's a very powerful tool that you're going to see more and more of as websites are developing in HTML5, SAS and CSS. So it's a thing you should really understand. You've got to, and this is one of the great benefits of the bit of paper, I want to have these two split, but I want to have this one smaller than that one. So this one, as you see, is over 4-column span, and this one's over a 2-column span. So you have to design the number of columns that you're going to have to use in order to get this difference in shape. It is the lowest common denominator that you said you would never use in your math lessons. Once you studied it in maths in school, you thought, oh, I'll never use that again. Well, you have to start to think in that way. What is the minimum number of columns you can create that will allow you to have a 3, a 4 and a 2, and that factors up to 6, and that gives you this shape that you can use. Now these ones here span over 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. So regardless of what you have for down here, you'll just span these over the whole lot and they will be accommodated in that way. So that's why I'm setting it up this way, and it's slightly different, as you can see. A 4 and a 2, a 4 and a 2, and then we go to a 3 and a 3. So that's what I'm going to do. Now what I'm going to do in the way in which I'm going to develop this is I'm going to actually just do this on screen, and I'm just going to write the code, and then I'm going to play it back to you accelerated without me talking over it. I'm going to play it back accelerated so that you get a sense of the order in which things are created, rather than looking at each line of code as it is created. What I will then do is do a very short review of what I have created, and any particular elements that would need some explanation in terms of what you see. And then what I'll do is I'll try, and I think I can do this, I'm going to try and convert the code into a JPEG. Now what I'm trying to do is I could very easily just copy and paste this and put it in a text file, and then you would do no work. You would not type anything, you just go copy and paste into whatever you're going to do. I've tried it with for PDFs, and it doesn't seem to be protected well enough. But I think I know I've worked out a way in which I can create a scrolling JPEG of this code, and then I can create that as a file, and you can use that to make the code that you have to make, but you'll have to type it. Don't know that'll work yet, but I'm sort of confident, and we'll go forward and we'll see how that goes. So the next thing is I will develop this code, and I won't talk over it at all. I'll just do it and then speed it up so that you can see how it happened. I've just noted one thing that I'd missed, and that's purely cosmetic, and it's about the row heights that I wanted to apply here. So I wanted to do 2 just to give that a bit more depth when it displays, and 2 there, and that gives it a bit more depth. You've watched the code being created in fast time, and so that's reduced the number of minutes that you have to watch quite a lot. You can, in fact, it's reduced it from about a 22-minute video down to about a 12-minute video. So that's an effective way of making it much quicker, and you don't have to watch the slow process of me actually typing it, but you still get the same content. Pause, you can look at the code as you go through the video if you're not sure what's there. But what we've done is we've created our grid as normal, which comes with the page. Inside there we've got a stack panel. That's my practice and my procedure. And inside there we've got another grid. I then define the rows and the columns that I need to do my design. As you remember, I've got 6 and 6. And then we create the title, we apply the style. Then in the next row, which is row 1, we create a text block which spans 6 columns, and that's the car price. And then we put the text box, and then we applied a new style to that, which is the numbers text box style. Or did we use that before? I think maybe we used that before, I'm not sure. But anyway, there's a style which we've got, which is the numbers text box style, which is there. And then we go on to do the same again. So I just copied and pasted. So I got copied and pasted that because it's exactly the same shape, and then just changed the text to suit. Similar sort of thing here. We've got a text block and a text box, but this time we've got a column span of 4 for this one and a column span of 2 for the text box. So I put in the details, styled them as appropriately, and then just copied and pasted them because the next row is the same. So that speeds up the development time a lot. So in the next one, in the next row, the final row of this page, we've got the 2 buttons, and I've done the same as you've seen me do before. Stack panel, I've got vertical alignment center, just to put it in the middle of the row of the grid. And then we've got the static resource, which is the form button, which you saw in the previous form. So we've got consistent style in the title of the columns, of the text boxes, and then in title and this one, and they're all going to look exactly the same, which is absolutely perfect for what you need to do. So we did that, and then in the final button, because this button needs to do stuff, I created a name. So it has to have a name and a running page button. It's as good a name as any. Maybe you'll think of a different name. And then I had to do a click event. So we do a click, and then you press tab twice, and you get the stub of the code, and you replace what's there with the code that you saw when we moved from the login page to this page. So that's how we did it. So I'm hoping that development style will suit you well, and that you can look through the development process quickly, pausing as you need, and then you'll use the JPEG resource if I can make it. If not, I'll have to do some sort of PDF type thing. But there's the way in which I'm going to do it, and hopefully you found that useful.